I've turned this useful yet boring shoe cabinet into a glamorous showpiece for my bedroom. I feel very fancy when I open it up now. Here's how I did it with Marissa Make Stuff. First, I've bought this angle. It's for tiling edges, and you buy it in the tile department. I've got the measurement that really suits the piece of furniture I'm going to be working on. I'm trying to cover up the edge, and I'm going to use it to make beautiful beveled corners. So I've measured out my pieces that I need, which go up the side, across the top, down the other side, and towards the two backs. And with this post-it, I've just basically measured the width of the angle and scribed it onto the post-it. And the post-it sticks on just enough for me to then make a right angle on a corner, on a 45-degree angle, so that I've got something to cut out and make a bevel with. So I'm just penciling that in at the point where I've measured my distance. And look, it's not easy to be perfect on this, so sometimes I have to do a few adjustments. But it's good to get started and get going towards a lovely beveled edge. So now with the tin snips, I'm going to work on cutting that through. This powder-coated aluminium is quite slippery. It's almost waxy. So I've really got to push it against my thigh, actually. I've got it on my thigh with a towel to cause grip. Yeah, and once you get started, it goes quite well. But do be careful with this tool. It's a heavy tool and it bites. So be very careful. Get someone else to do it if you don't have the strength in your hand to do it. I have to say I struggled a bit, but I got there in the end. And I was content with not going completely all the way because, as it turned out, I can't bend this down on itself. It just won't create a perfect bevel. That would be a perfect world. I had to basically cut it all the way through and create two pieces. And then they came together much cleaner and tidier. So I'm not pushing forward here, I'm really just pushing downwards, so don't be alarmed if you see that heading towards my wrist. I'm not doing any forwards action, it's literally squeezing downwards. Like I said, hand this tool over to someone with strong hands if you don't think you can manage it. But I really have the weakest hands in the world and I did it, so be my guest as well. This bit just popped out like a bit of a tooth that wanted to be pulled, and there you go. Just with that same tool, I've just got some pliers and I'm tidying up any sort of bends that might have occurred in that cutting process. This is the fun bit, bending it into a right angle like your Hercules or something. It's kind of fun, but as you can see, there's a gap there and you simply can't leave that there. It just would be a shame to have such a bad bevel. I was going to cut it with the tin snips, but then it occurred to me that you can just bend it back once or twice and it literally falls apart. So don't trouble yourself further. And so now I've got some pretty all right 45 degrees and they're almost going together, but for some little inconsistencies, which now I'm just going to work through taking them off. Here I've scribed it so that I can more cleanly take it off with these wonderful tin snips who do a very good job. And then after that, all I have to do is get a metal file and just keep working it until we've got the desired and the best beveled edge, the best mitered edge you can sort of come up with. Look at the top, look at the side, and just keep working it until you've got something that you can be pretty happy with. You'll see down the track that these became really good. And I worked at it for about 15 minutes and I got them to the point where I thought, okay, it's not going to be any better than that today. Moving on to the next bit. So I go into my piece of furniture with my cut pieces and test them all out. And as you can see, they've got adhesive. They've got strips of adhesive on the inside, which are going to come in super handy down the track. Popping it down there so it sits on its frame. It almost perfectly covers the piece of furniture angle that I've got, but it doesn't you know, you're never going to find the exact measurements. So I went with the best I could find. That's pretty good. All the way across to the other side and down. And I think I'd tape them together at this point in time. This one I just had to slide up. Look, if you have to get another piece and redo it, do so, because you do want to have a nice finished product at the end. These ones were too easy. They just sat there like that because they didn't require any mitering, and they just sat there perfectly on the edge and all snapped together quite well. Happy with that. Yay. Moving along. Well, this is fun. I'm going to take these handles off. I think they're sort of some kind of brushed aluminium. Boring. It looks like something you could have got at IKEA. Nothing wrong with IKEA, but it's not the look I'm going for. I wanted something a little bit more luxe. So off they come. Too easy. I'm going to take all this to the paint shed and spruce them up. Now this is a funny little handle I devised just to be able to open up my door, because these doors kind of snap shut pretty heavily, and because there's no real space between them, I couldn't get them back open again if I didn't make that handle. Check it out. I've got so many emery files I use for my nails. It's basically just sandpaper and a really convenient strip of foam. So I need to scratch back all this gorgeous shiny glossiness, and I have to be quite thorough because you do want your paint to stick to it. And I'm flipping my emery board over in my hand so that I've always got the fresh side, making sure I don't miss any bits. So really taking a bit of time to make sure all of that waxy powder coating, which is a beautiful product, but I want it to be scratched to death on all sides. Also, it had a couple of little mouldings and bevels on it on the surface, and I had to really look into the sun to make sure I'd gotten them all. Obviously, doing the ends, I could quite tidy up my metal ends with this emery board. You see, guys just don't know this stuff. I'm pretty sure guys don't have these in their tool shed. No sharp edges. I'm not cutting myself with my gloves there. Now I've got the mineral turpentine and cleaning all that up to create a beautiful clean surface for my paint to adhere to. This is the paint I'm using. It's pretty sprucey stuff, Rust-Oleum, it's for metal. And then I've got some fabulous gold paint, not the cheapo one, the good one. And here I go. So I've also scratched these, I've sanded them. If you don't have the emery boards, you can use sandpaper. Reasonable grit, not too fine. You do want to see the scratch marks. And guess what? I'm painting them black. I have these awesome kitchen hooks, which have been outside and got a bit rusty, so now I use them for every other thing other than kitchen. I'm painting all my trim first in black. Well, you might think I've gone completely mad, but this is the magic of antique brass, antique gold. Here we go, painting this black as well. Just flipping it over in my hand and having something ready for it to sit on so that I don't touch it. I just found that the edge of this bucket was perfect. I was able to just touch up the ends while it was sitting on the bucket. Now I'm going in gingerly, carefully, with my gold. I don't want to create a massive gold. I just want it delicately smudged over the top. And at a distance, just puffing it on there, and then just stop. Just stop. If you feel like you're getting too much on, stop. Put that away and take the next one. Do make sure you get the edges and the ends of your handles or whatever trim you're doing. Have a good look all around, upside down, bend over, upside down if you need to. Don't miss any bits. You can still see the black through it just a bit, and especially on some of the ends. It looks like it's been bumped and it's old. This is what we're going for. I did a couple of tests. I did 2 tests. One was the sort of a real rustic bumped version. And I did this with just a dry paintbrush while the paint was almost dry, just a little tacky. And I really scratched it off. Some people go for that real rustic look, or the more elegant, which is what I went for, which is just gently spray packed like that. So then I went in and had a bit of a look on my piece of furniture to see which one I like, which version I like. I ended up going with this one, not the bumped one, the more classic one. I have a few pieces of furniture here. that are like that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You want those imperfections. You don't want it to be too even Steven. So go away, have a look, let it dry, take it back in, turn it over in your hands, look at the whole thing. You can still see that little bit of black coming through from behind. It's not all the same. I'm trying to show you close up here, but it's a bit blurry. But yeah, you can see. Now I'm heading back to my piece of furniture and giving it a good clean. I did put masking tape on all my pieces and set them in place to have a good look at them. But first you must clean very well with alcohol, rubbing alcohol. Check that out. My clean piece of furniture was not clean. Now I'm backing off with my double-sided adhesives. Love this stuff. But boy, you want to be in the right spot when you put it on. Make sure you do not mess this up. It's difficult to get it off. If you do mess up, not impossible, but it is difficult. Try and get it in the right place and pop some masking tape around it just to be sure it's not going to come away. It won't come away normally because it's very straight and it's made for tiles. So it's quite a good product for that sense, but leave that on for a long time. Now back to popping on my beautiful little handles. They're so cute. And thank goodness I had that little handle I made out of sticky tape because I could open up my shoe cupboard. Otherwise, I would have been there trying to put something in the crack, a coat hanger or God knows what, and trying to open it up. This heavy mirrored door. Don't you just love the power drill? Yes! And there you have it, guys. I think I'm going to cue some romantic music so we can enjoy my beautiful work of art. Look, I could have gone crazy and put more trim all over this thing, but I think enough is enough. And I'm pretty sure this process can be used for so many types of white furniture. This melamine furniture can be so bland, and it doesn't need to be, because look how fancy-pantsy it can be. Like, subscribe. Marissa Makes Stuff.